When you open up Plants vs. Zombies 2, it takes you to this loading screen that has a tip below the loading bar. One of those tips says, zombies of a world can be defeated by plants of that world. And I thought, oh really, you sure about that? So in this little series I'll be doing, I'm going to test the extent of that loading screen tip. Can I beat Plants vs. Zombies 2 only using plants of their respective worlds? If you're new to this series, I would recommend you watch the previous videos first, which will be in the description, then get back to this one. But if you choose to stay, here's a quick recap on the rules. Only use plants of the current world. Money is outlawed at these parts, so the only thing we spent it on was a pea shooter. The Zen Garden will be used when necessary. Levels where we don't choose our own plants will still be played if they give our restrictions, otherwise impossible levels will be ignored, and pre-placed plants can stay where they are. Now, something you might have noticed by now, why am I talking like this? Well, because we just landed into the Wild West, and as a proud resident of Texas, I put up a poll asking if I should speak cowboy for this episode, and it was the most skewed poll I've ever seen. Just ignore that. Now let's see how the undead cowboys of the Lone Star State deal with the herds of plants blocking their way from those juicy brains. Day 1 was cleared by a single pea pod continually being stacked on and eventual plant food for the last few zombies. Surprise, surprise, the early levels are easy, so there's not much to say. Day 2, I got 2 pea pods on the minecarts, and stacking them a few times is enough to take care of even prospectors before they could jump. And when they did, I just moved them out of the way, besides this one case where I didn't want to use a mower so early on. Day 3 had the same strategy of Day 2, stack pea pods on the minecarts and take the most dangerous looking zombie out, which in this case was the pianist. Day 4 is an impossible, not okay corral level. The conveyor gave me a pea shooter and nothing else until I planted it, and it turns out that 1, there's no lawnmowers in these levels, and 2, no defense whatsoever is a guaranteed game over. However, I still wanted to see how far I'd go when it did give me a Wild West plant. So the first split pea I got, I shoveled up all those pea shooters and gave it a whirl. It also gave me a second split pea, but unfortunately wasn't enough at the 5th wave because there's just not enough firepower to stop 2 coneheads from the front and not enough time to get them from the back. I tried this futile method for almost half an hour before calling it quits. If you can do this, I'd love to see a video of the completion, and you'll get a shout out the next episode. Day 5 provided us with a minecart that I used to fully stack a pea pod as my main attacker, eventually getting split peas behind the minecart to deal with prospectors. There were a few close calls to some ponchos and coneheads, but they were no match for chili bean when I needed to and plant food when I wanted. Day 6 was the last stand level that was soloed by 3 winter melons on minecarts. Not even pianists and ponchos were a threat to these high damage, high splash speed reducers, although they did make the game slower and more boring. Day 7, I fully stacked a pea pod on a minecart and got a full column of lightning reeds when I could afford it. Although I spent a lot of the level only using the pea pod. It's surprising how far the little guy could carry you when it becomes 5 little guys. If only I could afford it on every lane. There was also some chili bean usage on stronger zombies that I didn't think pea pod would take down on its own. Even though Day 8 was the big boss level, there wasn't much interesting stuff to discuss because the only non-Wild West plant the conveyor gave us was walnut. So there wouldn't really be anything you wouldn't see on a normal playthrough, besides deliberately placing and removing walnuts in spots they were useless in, I guess. Day 9 gave us some lightning reeds, split pea, chili bean, and a winter melon to work with. I eventually got a full column of lightning reeds in the second column and used chili bean on its plated poncho. When I saw a prospector come in, I quickly got a split pea on the minecart in the middle to take it out. Doing this resulted in a close call with this conehead. This is the part where lightning reed's embarrassingly low damage starts to show off because 2 of them could hardly deal with the conehead, and despite it being meant to control crowds, it couldn't stop a prospector before it jumped. Because of this, I had to get expensive to amend for its shortcomings, be it 125 suns to replace it or plant food as a last-ditch effort before it got eaten. The replacement reeds ruined my plan of getting 3 split peas on the 4th column, although when most of my backline was taken out, the plant food came in clutch during the final wave. I did have to use a lawnmower and an unintended poncho though. Day 10 was fairly easy, just a column of lightning reeds and plant food when necessary, which was pretty much every time a conehead showed up, and I got a few melon pults for support toward the final wave. There was one buckethead that showed up and had to use chili bean as soon as I killed that pianist, but other than that, it was smooth riding from there. On day 11, I could only spend 500 sun, so I wanted to see if a single melon pult on a minecart could beat it. My first attempt was going well, moving the melon pult to any lane that had a zombie, splitting the damage when they were next to each other, until the zombies came in every lane. The plant food wasn't enough to stop all of them, and I don't know why I didn't use another, but it got eaten trying to deal with 2 cone heads. I couldn't let a lawnmower get it because I didn't want that. Hell nah. Yeah, I'm not using any lawnmowers. I don't care. I am beating this level with a single melon pult. Second attempt, it was mostly the same thing, except I used my plant food twice to deal with everyone in the final wave. Day 12 was another not okay corral that gave us a bloomerang first play. Terrific. It did conveniently give us a lightning rate to attack with. Inconveniently, however. Really? Really? Are you kidding me? Nope. Second attempt, I got the lightning read in the omnipotent cart, and another on the bottom one. There was a moment when a conehead almost got past before another zombie dropped plant food to kill the conehead with. I got a third read on the top card, and things were going smoothly until, wouldn't you know it, a bucket head. I don't think even 6 reads could kill that, and I can't get plant food from his partners. I tried a few more times to get similar results each time. It simply wasn't possible to keep the plant food from earlier into the bucket head wave, so I forfeited once again. Day 13 featured the same usual strategy of stacking pea pods on minecarts, and although it was effective, I had to keep a lookout for prospectors by moving the pea pods out of the way, and the new bull riders from planting anything I can in front of it, which was usually chili bean because it's the cheapest plant I have. The last wave looked a little too crowded for 2 pea pods to handle on their own, however, so I quickly planted food in the lightning reed to get that taken care of. Day 14, stack pea pods on minecarts and eventually get lightning reeds to deal with chickens. Pretty easy level as long as I prioritize the pea pod with the pianists that came in. Yeah, really not much to say. The only reason I'm still talking right now is to finish the clip. I bet you're pretty tired of me saying I stacked pea pods on minecarts in this probably terrible western accent, but we're doing it for day 15 too. If you ain't tired, I am. So I'm not even gonna say it because that's literally all that happened, besides the plant food usage because of the pianist. Day 16 was surprisingly hard without a minecart to plant on. On my first attempt, I tried to call them lightning reeds, but they got overwhelmed by prospectors and just too many stronger zombies to effectively stop. Second try, I used split peas in the middle column. The pea shooter side got overwhelmed by the front zombies, and I let the walnut get eaten. I swear this plan would be so much better if the heads swapped sides. Third round, I went with a combination of both, and it seemed to be going well. However, I could barely afford it, got overwhelmed by prospectors, and was too busy trying to deal with them to notice my walnut get eaten. I thought a chili bean plant food could help with the stronger zombies, but nah. Fourth go, I tried melon pults for some reason. You could probably tell how that went. Fifth run, I went, winter melon? If melon pults didn't work, what made me think winter melon? I mean, sure, it stops prospecting and it's fucking broken, but I cannot afford the most expensive plant in the game without a sun producer and survive, even with all that power in one plant. Finally, sixth attempt, I tried putting the split peas in the second column. This way, the pea shooter side could have ample time to kill off basics, and the repeater side can handle prospectors with its increased firepower at closer range. When coneheads started coming in, I partnered the split peas with lightning reeds, and it worked decently well, even with lightning reeds' weak damage output. However, I did horribly misplace a chili bean on this poncho zombie and had to sacrifice a mower to it. And this conehead got the split pea over here, and a prospector was able to break through to a lightning reed. So there was a lot of sun that could have been better spent on something other than silly little accidents, but after a bit of struggling, we finally pushed through and survived with 2 mowers. Finally, things are getting interesting, and we had to give up the main gimmick of the world to do it. Day 17, we're back to our old strategy of stacking pea pods on the closest minecart to our house, featuring a few tunnels to stop zombies from crossing the flower line. If there were enemies that looked a bit too strong, I simply chili beaned them or pea pod plant fooded them if they were multiple. Although this tall nut here was not having a good time when I went to deal with other dangerous zombies going for the undefended lanes. But yeah, it was pretty simple, either tall nuts or chili beans on stronger looking zombies, eventually getting all the tall nuts on all the rows. I'm surprised I beat this first try with a single pea pod and some chili beans as my attackers, but the tall nuts were definitely the MVPs of the level. Day 18 was the last stand level where I went for split peas in the minecarts and lightning reeds all around them. It got a little hectic with way too many prospectors to count jump in the back line, but I pulled through and beat the level regardless. Day 19, stacking pea pod on the minecarts and supported with lightning reeds. I didn't even notice the plant loss limit or the stun budget. Good thing I only had to use 2 chili beans that had enough firepower to stop prospectors before they jumped. Day 20, another not okay corral level, everybody's favorite. And by the time I got my first Wild West plant, a single chili bean. You kidding me? Even if I wanted to try this again, I don't think it will be possible by the next Wild West plant, whatever it would be. Day 21 was similar to day 19, except I used split peas on the minecarts instead, and there was a flower line. There were a lot more close calls though, and I'm surprised I did the first try. Day 22, I was given winter melon. That's it. The only plant I could use in this level was winter melon, the most expensive plant in the game, with no sun producer. I had to sacrifice a mower just to get enough sun to afford one. And the craziest part, once I got it, it actually held off the weaker zombies and even some stronger ones really well until I could afford another. Then the chickens came in and deemed the level impossible. Great time! Uh-oh. Woo! Okay, I'm breaking character for a bit. What the fuck? Hell no, that's not possible. Day 23 took a lot of attempts out of me, and most of the footage is now lost. But during that time, I found a fairly simple strategy, as long as I didn't screw it up. Get a few pea pods on the rails, don't immediately stack them, get a column of lightning reeds, chili bean any strong zombies, and from there keep stacking pea pods. Meanwhile, pea pod plant food any pianists, and lightning reed plant food when the horde looked a bit too big. Target stronger zombies with the pea pods, and the level's complete. You guys can't tell, but there were a lot of attempts put into this one, and I'm just glad it's over. Day 24 was another challenging one with no minecarts to plant on and 3 walnuts that I couldn't heal to protect. The most cost-friendly solution I could think of was spamming lightning reeds everywhere, and it worked until the final wave, when a bull rider covered every lane and there were too many chickens to stop from eating the walnuts. Tried a second time for the same result. It was working, I just needed to manage the walnuts better. If only I could heal them with tall nuts, or maybe they had a bit more health. Wait a minute. Perfect. Look at the damage that walnut took. Die already, holy! It's over. Wow. What the hell? Whatever. Are you fucking kidding me? I forgot to hit record after I beat the... Oh my. This boss is literally nothing different from what happens in normal gameplay. So why am I even recording this? So you can have background footage while I yap about other stuff. So, it's been a while since the last episode, huh? I said I tried to go for 2 weeks and now it's the new year. Yeah, I apologize for that, and I thank you for your patience if you've been waiting for this to come out. Procrastination can be a pain in the ass, even for stuff you want to do. That, along with the collab with Rosifer and other games simply looking a lot more interesting in the moment, and slight embarrassment to record when other people are around, even if you live in the same house, it's just a lot. But I got it out one way or another. Better late than never, right? Thanks y'all for watching. I fully intend to keep making content. It'll just take a while, especially going into a new stage in life as a young adult. I hope to see you guys in the next episode, whenever that may be. Arguably easiest boss so far. All because of winter melon.